Hi, Miss Smith. This is my personal development emotional intelligence final exam. I would define self-awareness as being able to recognize and understand your own thoughts, emotions, and actions. So it's kind of like if you're being able to recognize when you're upset or mad over something. And then how would you describe yourself? Um I would describe myself as being hardworking. I think in school I work really hard to get good grades, to keep my relationships and connections with teachers and my friends. And in sports, especially soccer and rugby, I would say that I'm very hardworking. I try to be the best on the field, whether it's in practice or in games. I'm always striving to, get better. Because I don't know, I would consider myself hardworking in sports. I would also consider myself an extrovert because I love talking with friends. Just being around other people makes me happy, and it makes me I'm the type of person I can't really sit at home by myself for too long. Otherwise I get bored. I'm just I'm not really doing anything, and my mom always tells me oh, you could just take a night, just sit in your bed and watch TikTok or something. I'm but I always wanna, I guess I always have to be on the go and doing something with my friends, cuz it being out with my friends makes me happy, or even being out with my family. I can't really sit at home and do nothing, so I always have to be out doing something. So I would consider myself extroverted. I love talking with people, just being out and doing things. I also consider myself empathetic towards others. Whenever any of my friends are upset, or I can usually tell when they're upset, and I can always usually I'm pretty good at being there for them. I can usually with most of the situations I've either been there or gone through it, so I know how to be there for them, which I think is a really key description of myself. And I would also consider myself very energetic. There's very few times when I'm not laughing, making jokes, or having fun with my friends. And if there's those times, you'll know something's up with me. If I'm not, goofing off, having fun. I'm just one of those people that, I love having fun. I'm also good at having a balance between having fun and locking in for school and stuff. But I would consider myself a pretty fun and energetic person. What else? 2 to 3 strengths. I've probably talked about it, but I'm determined and motivated in school and in sports. Like I said, getting good grades in school, and also trying to be the best out there on either the soccer field or on the rugby field. I also care and support the people around me. I always want what's best for others, and seeing other people happy makes me really happy. So whenever whenever my friends are happy, that makes me happy, and that makes me feel you know what, I don't know, my friends' emotions can really influence me. So whenever my friends are upset, it'll make me upset knowing that there's something, me wishing there's something I could do for them. And then I'm also able to connect. This kind of relates to it, but I'm able to connect with my friends when they're upset. A lot of people come to me when they're mad, upset, or just want to talk about something, because I said, I've been through a lot, and I can usually I'm usually there for them, and I'm a good and active listener, I would say, and I really want what's best for others. Areas that I can improve on is, this one was hard to think of, but I would say that like being more open when I get upset or angry, because there's a lot of times when I'm upset over something, or a good example is like when my friends when my friends and I get into like arguments or something, I get really upset about it because I don't like my friends and I being mad at each other. I think like I just hate like when we're upset at each other, and it makes me really upset. Um and usually like when this happens, I close myself off to others, and I don't really like talk about my emotions, but a lot of people can like have known me and can understand and know when like I'm upset. Like I have very visible cues that people know, like when I'm upset, I'll like close myself off and not really talk to anyone and just like go silent, which very unusual for me because I'm, like I said, I'm an outgoing and energetic person. Another improvement that I could or another thing that I could improve on is like controlling my emotions and temper. There's some times when I can like when someone says something, I can like, blurt right back to them or like lash out at them right away, and I think I need to like control that a little better. Like take a step back. Like if someone says something that like I don't agree with or I don't like or that upsets me, take a step back. Think about what I'm gonna say before I say it, because there's times when like I'll just like say something like some people say that like I don't have a filter, which I would consider true too, but that's not always like the best thing. And then another improvement is not being petty or like getting mad over the small things. Like another example is like my friends and I, sometimes we get mad over like really small and stupid things, and like it goes both ways, but I'm also gonna like say like it is on me too, because if they say something, I can get really petty about it. I can like, it's a big thing on Snap to like leave them on open, and like I can get really upset and leave them on open, and I'll start something that doesn't need to be started. I would say that social awareness is noticing and like responding to the needs of others, like their needs, their emotions, like in certain situations, and it's like having empathy for like the people around you, and having someone for people to be able to turn to like for their needs, or like just needing to talk to someone when like they're going through like struggles. The question is, what is empathy? How does it differ from the idea of sympathy? I would say empathy is being able to understand and feel the emotions and feel like emotions with someone. So like I said, an example of this would be if someone's like feeling pain, like you kind of feel like that pain with them. And I would say like personally I show good empathy. So like when my friend is I'll use my friend for example. When my friend is upset like with her boyfriend, I can like understand why she's upset, and like I can like be upset with her, and it's kind of like being with them. Like I don't really know how to describe it. It's like being upset with them and not like being upset for them, and it's like kind of like feeling like the same pain that they're feeling. So like if they're upset, like that makes me upset too, knowing that like they're upset. Sympathy, I would say, is like acknowledging that someone's like upset, or like acknowledging their emotions, but not like feeling their emotions with them. So it's like if someone was like mad, it's like knowing, like seeing that they're mad, but also like not being mad yourself about it. A good example I would say of this would probably be like feeling sorry for someone. Like if something happens, like a lot of people say, I'm sorry, like that's terrible, like I'm so sorry, like that's awful, I can't believe that, but like also not like you feeling those emotions yourself. It's kind of like surface level, kind of like not having like that deep connection. I would describe self-management as being able to manage like your own emotions without like getting overwhelmed or like anxious about it. It's also being able, I would say, like, it's being able to, like, take a step back from a situation and, like, kind of, like, bite your tongue in some situations. You know, like, when things are getting really heated, you could just blurt out and say something, or you could take a step back and be like, you know what, like, there's so many things I could say, but I'm not gonna say anything because it's gonna make things a lot worse. And, it'd be, like, avoiding, like, those impulsive, like, behaviors. Sometimes I make impulsive, like, choices and behaviors. I say things that, like, shouldn't be said, and that's why, like, I do need to work on, like, my self-management too, because, like, instead of, like, me biting my tongue, I'll just, like, say whatever comes to my mind, and that's not always the best thing. The question is, write about a time when you had a hard time using self-control. What could you or should you have done in order to have self-control in that situation? Okay, I remember, there's sometimes, you know, like, I've gotten into some pretty, like, bad arguments with my parents because I'm very, like, hot-tempered, or short, I'm a hothead, that's what my dad says. I can be, like, a hothead sometimes, and I do say some things that, you know, like, I need to, like, bite my tongue on and, like, not say. And, there's some times where, like, I lash out, both my parents and I, like, lash out at each other when we're in arguments. You know, we say things that later on we regret saying and we don't mean saying it, and, like, it kind of just, like, escalates the problem and makes it worse, and, like, it can end up in, like, arguments that go on for, like, days and stuff, and it's pretty crazy. But a side note, now I've realized that, like, to kind of just, like, I should say, like, side note, that these arguments have kind of helped me become, like, a better person, I would say, because, like, instead of, like, I've tried to just stay positive, like, you know, through, like, all of, like, the arguments, because sometimes, like, the arguments can turn into, like, from myself and my dad, turning into it, like, my dad and my mom, and, you know, I try to, like, stay positive through it, because, like, it can be really rough sometimes. But, going back to, like, the question, what could you or should have done? I try to, like, or I'm trying to work on now, like, whenever I get into arguments, is kind of just, like, agree with my parents and just, like, don't say anything that, like, it's gonna end up with, like, making the situation worse, because, like, fighting isn't, like, the answer to anything. And I'm gonna try to work on, like, not raising my voice, or, like, yelling back at them, kind of just, like, nod your head and just kind of, like, agree with it until, like, it blows over. But that's what I would work on with my self-management, is kind of just, like, not saying the first thing that comes to my mind and kind of, like, biting my tongue. And for the final quadrant, I would say that relationship management, or, like, social skills, are being able to interact with others, like, build, maintain, strengthen, like, your relationships with, like, the people around you. And it's also being able to, like, to communicate well with others, work as a team, deal with, like, issues or, like, conflicts that you're having, and then showing empathy in situations and leadership. Question is, describe your strongest relationship. Why is this relationship successful? In what ways do you work to ensure that this relationship continues to be a success? I would say that my two strongest relationships is with my best friends. Two of them, I'm just gonna name drop, are Ella and Grace. We're a little trio, I would say, and I've been best friends with them since freshman year, and they've helped me through so much. I remember winter of freshman year, it was, like, a bit of a struggle, like, that I was going through. I was going through it, I would say, and they've just always been there for me. I've been always, like, able to, like, talk to them. I don't know, I just think, like, that they've been there for me so much that, like, I could never be able, like, to repay them for it. they always know how to like make me smile. They can always tell like when I'm upset, or like they're always there to like cheer me on, you know, whether it's like a new guy, or like, oh, like I'm going on vacation. Like they always like want what's best for me, and I appreciate them so much for that. Those two are like, I love them to death. They're my best friends. I don't know what I would do without them. I know I saw this thing on TikTok. Side note. It's called like the butterfly effect. And if I wouldn't have had class with them freshman year, I don't think I would have been this close that I am with them now. Everyone always asks like, oh, what, it's like the little trio, like you, Grace, and Ella. But yeah, like we never judge each other. We love each other so much, and I'm able like to talk about like the same thing that I'm going through with them so many times without them getting, you know, like annoyed or like sick of hearing it. Another relationship that I would consider one of my strongest would be another group of friends is, I'm gonna name drop again, Maddie and Molly. They're my two best friends. They're seniors, or they're gonna be graduating soon, or this year, because they're class of 2025. But I've gotten so close, or I've been close with Molly since freshman year soccer season. She's always been like my big sister to me, always willing to drive me places, always wanted what's best for me. I was able to go to her for like, you know, like relationship issues, family issues, friend issues. She's helped me through so much too. And I think it's just crazy how they're graduating soon. I don't know what I'm gonna do without them next year. But Maddie, I've gotten so close with her too. Like sophomore year, we've played rugby together, you know. She's always just like those two have been big sisters to me. And I don't know, I just think it's crazy that they're graduating soon. They always like want what's best for me. They also know whenever like they can tell when I'm upset. Like I know that I can always go to them for anything. And I just think it's so sweet, you know, because I'm an only child, so knowing that like you have like those friends that feel like sisters to you, even though like we do bicker sometimes, you know, it's all love, and they just want what's best for me, and I truly want what's best for them. And it's gonna be hard next year going to school without them here, not being able to hang out with them as much, but it's gonna be okay. And sorry, I kind of lost track, but why is this relationship successful? I'm able to be myself around them. This is what I mean when they're happy, I'm happy, and like I just love like hanging out with my friends. I will hanging out with my friends, hanging out with any of them over like being by myself any day of the week. I've cried to them, I've laughed with them, I've gone through so much with like all of them. And I think that's what makes like a relationship strong and successful, is being able like to trust them with anything, knowing that they're not gonna go run their mouth about anything, and that they're just gonna be there, and that you can like talk to them for anything, and knowing that like they're gonna be there to support you through like the highs and the lows. And also like knowing that like whatever you tell them is like private, and they're not gonna go like judge you for it, and that like we all have that kind of like unconditional love for each other, and like they're my best friends, and I just don't know what I would do without them. And that is my exam, my podcast. I hope you love it so much, and I'm gonna miss you a lot next year, and please come to graduation.